The moment more than one person touches a set of accounts, a new failure mode appears that solo operators never think about: cross-linking through the team itself. You can have perfect fingerprints and clean proxies and still tie all your accounts together because two operators shared a profile the wrong way. Today I want to walk through running browser profiles across a team without cross-linking them, the handovers, the permissions, and the small habits that keep a shared operation from quietly linking itself. One quick note on framing. I run real proxy and cloud phone farms with more than one set of hands involved, so team hygiene is something I have had to get right the hard way. I am going to keep this practical and defensive: how to keep a shared setup consistent and separate, not a recipe against any platform. And no undetectable promises. This reduces one class of mistake. It does not make anything invincible. The team cross-linking problem. Start with the risk itself. Cross-linking is when signals that should be separate end up shared, tying accounts together. In a team, that happens in ways a solo operator never sees. Two people opening the same profile from different places, an account copied between machines, a proxy reused across operators. The accounts do not link because the fingerprints were bad. They link because the humans handled them carelessly. So team hygiene is its own layer of the setup, sitting on top of fingerprints and proxies, and it deserves the same discipline. Never copy profile files around. The single most common team mistake is copying a profile's files from one machine to another to share it. A profile is not just a login. It carries its fingerprint identity, its cookies, its whole history, and duplicating those files means two machines now carry the same identity. Worse, the copy usually drags along inconsistencies when it lands on different hardware. Sharing a profile is not a file copy, and treating it like one is how teams link accounts and corrupt fingerprints in a single move. There is a right way to share, and copying files is not it. Use real profile sharing. The correct approach is to use the tool's own sharing or transfer mechanism, which is exactly what the cloud-oriented tools build their team features around. Proper sharing grants another operator access to a profile without duplicating its identity onto a second machine, so the fingerprint and history stay singular even as the access moves. This is a large part of what you pay for on a team plan, and it is the difference between handing someone the keys and photocopying the whole house. If your workflow needs sharing, pick a tool whose sharing does it properly. One operator per profile at a time. Even with proper sharing, keep a simple rule: one operator inside a profile at a time. Two people driving the same profile simultaneously from different locations produces contradictory signals. Two places at once, two behaviors at once, which is exactly the inconsistency detection looks for. Shared access should mean the profile can be handed between people, not used by them in parallel. Coordinate so that at any given moment, one person holds a profile, and the handoff is deliberate. Concurrency is where careful sharing quietly turns back into cross-linking. Keep the proxy fixed to the profile. Here is a subtle team trap. The proxy belongs to the profile, not to the operator, and it should stay fixed no matter who is using it. If operator 1 uses the profile through its assigned proxy, and operator 2 later opens it through their own different proxy, the account suddenly jumps geography and network, a glaring contradiction. The profile and its proxy travel together as a pair, and every operator who touches it uses that same proxy. Changing the proxy because a new person picked it up is one of the fastest ways a team flags its own account. Limit enough, lock the time zone to the proxy, not the person. Teams are often spread across countries, and that creates a specific hazard. The profile's time zone and locale should match its proxy's exit location permanently, regardless of where the operator physically sits. If an operator in one country opens a profile whose proxy exits another country, and the profile picks up the operator's real time zones, the device story and network story split apart. So pin the time zone to the proxy inside the profile, and make sure no operator's local settings bleed through. The profile's geography is a property of the profile, never of whoever is holding it that day. Role-based permissions. Not everyone on a team needs to do everything, and good team tools let you say so. Give operators access to only the profiles they work, and reserve profile creation, proxy assignment, and settings changes for the people responsible for them. This limits the blast radius of a mistake. A junior operator cannot accidentally reproxy a profile or leak one they should not have touched. Permissions are not about distrust. They are about making the careless mistake impossible, rather than merely discouraged. The fewer people who can change a profile's core settings, the fewer ways it gets quietly broken. Clean operator onboarding. Bringing someone new onto the team is a moment of risk worth a procedure. Grant them access through the tool sharing, not by handing over files or credentials to copy. Show them the rules up front. The proxy stays fixed. One operator at a time. Do not change settings. A new operator who does not know the hygiene rules will break them innocently. So onboarding is where you prevent that. A 5-minute briefing on how not to cross-link the accounts is worth more than any amount of cleanup after someone duplicates a profile onto their laptop. Then duplicates a profile onto their laptop. Clean operator offboarding. People leave, and offboarding is where teams get sloppy. When an operator departs, revoke their access to the profiles promptly through the tool, and make sure no local copies of any profile went with them. A departing operator with lingering access or a saved profile copy is both a security risk and a cross-linking risk, since that copy could be opened elsewhere later. Treat access removal as a required step of anyone leaving, the same way you would collect a key or a badge. Clean exits keep the profile set contained to the people who should have it. Deliberate handovers. When a profile moves from one operator to another, make the handover explicit rather than casual. The person handing off confirms they are out of the profile. The person receiving confirms the proxy and settings are unchanged before they start, and both know the transition happened. A sloppy handover where one person assumes the other is done is how you get two operators in a profile at once. A deliberate handover with a moment of confirmation costs seconds and prevents the exact concurrency and settings drift that links accounts. Make the handoff a small ritual, not an afterthought. Skin tampon records, as with solo work but more so. Records matter across a team. Keep a shared record of which profile uses which proxy, who currently holds it, and its fixed geography, so no two people guess at the same time. Untracked. A team drifts into reused proxies and accidental concurrency simply because nobody had the full picture. The record does not need to be elaborate. A shared sheet the whole team reads and updates is enough. But the visibility is what stops the silent mistakes that happen when everyone assumes someone else is keeping track. The manager's audit. Whoever runs the operation should periodically audit the whole set, not just trust that everyone followed the rules. Spot check that each profile still uses its assigned proxy, that time zones still match, that no profile is showing signs of having been opened from two places, that departed operators have no lingering access. A short regular audit catches the slow drift that daily use introduces, before that drift turns into a linked cluster of accounts. The audit is the team equivalent of the solo operator verifying their own setup, and it is the manager's job specifically because no single operator sees the whole picture. Behavior consistency across operators. One last subtle point. Different people behave differently, and if a profile is meant to represent one consistent person, wildly different handling by different operators can itself look odd. It is not something to obsess over, but a profile that suddenly changes its rhythm, its hours, its patterns, every time a new operator picks it up is less consistent than one person would be. Light coordination on how a shared profile is used keeps its behavior coherent, which is just the behavior consistency detection reads, applied to the reality that several humans share the work. The shared machine trap. A specific hazard hits teams that share physical machines or remote desktops. If two operators work from the same computer, even in different profiles, they can share the underlying machine signals in ways that link their work, the same way plain Chrome profiles on one machine share a fingerprint. The isolation an antidetectbrowser provides is per profile, but a carelessly shared machine can still leak common signals underneath. So if operators must share hardware, understand that the machine itself becomes a shared factor, and lean harder on the tool's isolation and on proper proxies to keep the profiles genuinely apart. credentials versus profiles. Teams often confuse sharing an account's login with sharing its profile, and the difference matters. Handing someone a username and password lets them log in from their own environment, with their own fingerprint and proxy, which is a different device story every time. Exactly the inconsistency that flags an account. Sharing the profile properly through the tool keeps the one consistent environment intact no matter who holds it. So the rule is share the profile, not just the credentials, because an account accessed from many different environments looks like an account under attack, not an account with a team. The cost of getting it wrong. It is worth being blunt about stakes, because team hygiene feels like bureaucracy until it fails. One operator copying a profile to their laptop, one shared proxy across two people, one account opened from two countries in an hour. Any of these can link a cluster of accounts that took months to build. The failure is rarely a single dramatic mistake. It is a small shortcut someone took because the rules felt excessive. The accounts that survive are run by teams that treated the boring disciplines as non-negotiable, because the cost of relinking a whole set at once is far higher than the cost of the habits. Grow the team carefully. A final piece of advice: scale the team as deliberately as you scale the accounts. Every new person who touches the profiles is a new way for the hygiene to slip. So add operators slowly, brief each one properly, and confirm the disciplines are holding before you add the next. A small, well-drilled team that never cross-links beats a large, loose one that quietly does. The size of the operation is not just how many accounts you run, it is how many hands touch them. And each pair of hands has to be brought up to the same standard before it is trusted with a profile. So running profiles across a team without cross-linking comes down to a handful of disciplines. Share properly instead of copying files, keep the proxy and time zone fixed to the profile, one operator at a time, clean onboarding and offboarding, deliberate handovers, and a manager who audits. Get those right and a team stays as separate as a careful solo operator. Which tools make team sharing safe and which ones tempt you into copying files is written up, tested hands-on at antidetectbrowser.org. No undetectable promises anywhere. If this saved your team from linking itself, subscribe, because next up I am comparing anti-detect browsers against plain Chrome profiles and virtual machines. See you in the next one.